Once upon a time, there lived a lion in the dense Amazon rainforest. While he was sleeping by resting his big head on his paws, a tiny little mouse unexpectedly crossed by and ran across the lion's nose in hassle. This woke up the lion, and he laid his paw angrily on the tiny mouse to kill her. The poor mouse begged the lion to spare her this time, and she would pay him back on some other day. Hearing this, the lion was amused and wondered how such a tiny creature could ever help him. But he was in good mood, and in his generosity, he finally let the mouse go. A few days later, a hunter set a trap for the lion while the big animal was stalking for prey in the forest, caught in the toils of a hunter's net. The lion found it difficult to free himself and roared loudly in anger. As the mouse was passing by, she heard the roar and found the lion struggling hard to free himself from the hunter's net. The little creature quickly ran towards the lion's trap that bound him and gnawed the net with her sharp teeth until the net tore apart. Slowly, she made a big hole in the net, and soon the lion was able to free himself from the hunter's trap. The lion thanked the little mouse for her help, and the mouse remembered him that she had finally repaid the lion for sparing her life before. Thereafter, the lion and the mouse became good friends and lived happily in the forest. Moral of the story: love and kindness are never wasted. You can accomplish by kindness, which you cannot by force. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful castle in the land far, far away. In the magnificent castle, there lived the most beautiful queen. The queen only had one wish: to be happy and to have a beautiful baby girl. It was a cold winter day. The queen was sitting next to the window. She saw a shooting star and made a wish to have a baby girl with skin as white as snow, whose eyes are brighter than the shiniest jewel, and had cherry red lips, and her heart full of joy and happiness. And one day, the wish of the good-hearted queen came true. She had a beautiful baby girl. They named her Snow White. The years went by. The queen becomes ill and soon after passed away. After a while, the king remarried another woman. The new queen had an evil heart. She was an arrogant and jealous woman. Every day the queen would look into her magic mirror and ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The magic mirror would answer, "No one, your highness. You are the most beautiful one." The queen would be very happy with the answer. The years went by fast, and Snow White grew up to be a beautiful young girl. One day, the queen was in front of her magic mirror and asked the same question, but this time the mirror answered, "Well, I am sorry, but not you, dear queen. Snow White is fairest of all." The queen was furious hearing it. She immediately called her huntsman and ordered him to kill Snow White. The huntsman took her to the woods, but he couldn't hurt her. He asked her to run away from the castle and the evil queen. In the woods, she found a cute tiny house. She opened and entered the house. The house was very small and messy. Snow White started cleaning the house. She found 7 little beds. As she was tired from cleaning, she curled up on the bed and fell asleep. The 7 dwarfs came back home from work. They saw Snow White sleeping in their bed. She told them about what happened in the castle. The 7 dwarfs wanted to protect her from the evil queen. The queen learned that Snow White is still alive and decided to kill her. The evil queen disguised herself as an old woman and offered an apple to eat. Snow White took a bite of the apple, and as she did, she fainted. Dwarfs, while returning home, saw the evil queen in the disguise of an old woman. They chased her to the top of the mountain. When she reached the mountain top, she was hit by a lightning bolt and fell off the mountain and died. When the dwarfs returned home, they saw Snow White lying on the ground. She was in deep sleep. She was cursed by the evil queen. Dwarfs put Snow White in the glass box made of the most precious gems and kept the box in the forest. One day Prince Charming came to the woods and found his dream girl lying there. He lifted her and kissed her. Snow White opened her eyes. It was the true love's first kiss that broke her curse. Snow White and the prince returned to the kingdom and lived happily ever after. One day, a fox was roaming in the jungle. It was a hot summer day. The fox was extremely thirsty but could not find any water. He kept on walking and suddenly he saw a well. He leaped on the well's wall to check the water. He lost his balance and fell right into the well. The well was very deep and the fox doesn't know how to get out of the well. He got really scared and screamed for help. Nearby, the goat was passing the well. When she heard the fox, she went to peep inside the well. The goat saw the fox and asked, "Hi fox, what are you doing inside the well?" The fox said, "Isn't it too hot outside? I just came into the well to cool myself off. Why don't you also hop in and enjoy the cool and refreshing water?" Not even thinking for a second, the goat jumped into the well. She enjoyed the cold water and drank to his heart's content. After some time, the goat stops and asks the fox, "How are we going to get out of this well?" The fox replied, "If you stand on your 2 feet and push me up, I can manage to reach the top of the well and get out. After that, I will get you out." The goat once again, without thinking twice, does as the fox said. The fox got out. The goat asked, "Hey fox, what about me? How would I get out?" The fox said, "I guess you have to think about it on your own." And the fox left the place. Moral of the story: look before you leap. Hasty decisions can lead to wasteful outcomes. On a farm long ago, a mama duck sat on her nest.
Quack, 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 quack. How long must I wait for my babies to hatch? I have to sit here all alone, and no one comes to visit me. Quack, quack, quack.
But what could she do? A mama duck must keep her eggs warm till they hatch. At last, the eggs began to crack. One by one, yellow ducklings stepped out of their shells. They shook their wings and said,
Quack, 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 quack. Look at all of you. Quack, you all are so cute. Quack, 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 quack. Come and line up. We will go down to the lake for your first swim. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh dear! I should have 6 ducklings.
but one large egg was still in the nest.
Quack! Well, it looks like that big egg will take more time.
But one large egg was still in the nest.
Quack! Well, it looks like that big egg will take more time.
The next day, the big egg started to hatch. A baby boy bird came out. But if one may say so, it was an odd-looking thing. The bird was much bigger than others. He was not yellow at all. He was dark gray from his head to his feet, and he walked with a funny wobble. One of the yellow ducklings pointed.
What is that? He cannot be one of us. I have never seen such an ugly duckling. Quack! How can you say such a thing? You are only 1 day old. Your brother hatched from the very same nest as you did. Now line up. You will go to the lake for your first swim. Quack, 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 quack. Ugly, 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 quack, quack.
The ugly duckling did not know why the other ducklings were yelling at him. He took the last spot in the line. Each yellow duck jumped in the river and swam behind Mama Duck. When it was his turn, the ugly duckling jumped in and started to paddle too.
Quack! A thief, he can swim.
When they left the water and started to play, the ugly duckling tried to play with his brothers and sisters too. They yelled,
Quack! Go away! We will not play with you. You are ugly, and you walk weird too.
One day, one of the yellow ducklings said to the ugly duckling,
You know what? You would do us a big favor if you just went away from here. Quack, quack, get out! Quack, 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 get out, get out! Why won't they let me stay here? They are right. I should go.
That night, the ugly duckling flew over the farmyard fence. He flew till he ended on the other side of the lake. There he met 2 grown-up ducks.
Can I stay here for a while? I have nowhere else to be. What do we care? Just don't get in our way.
Suddenly, a big hungry dog came tearing by, chasing the 2 ducks. They quickly flew away in the air, and their feathers fell down on the ground. The poor ugly duckling froze in fear. The dog sniffed and sniffed at the ugly duckling, then turned away.
I'm too ugly even for the big hungry dog to want.
The sky turned dark, a bolt of lightning. Then came a big storm, with the heavy rains pouring down from the sky. In just a moment, the ugly duckling was soaked through and through. Then a cold wind started to blow. He sat with both wings held close to his chest.
If only there was a place I could get dry.
All at once, a tiny light blinked far off in the woods. Could it be someone's hut? He flew to the door. The door of the hut creaked open.
What is all that noise?
Said an old woman, looking right and left. Her eyes were not that good. Then she looked down.
Look at that. It's a duck.
She picked up the ugly duckling and dropped him inside her hut.
You can stay here, but only if you lay eggs,
she said. A tomcat and hen crept up to the ugly duckling.
Who do you think you are, coming here and taking up room by the fire? I do not need anyone else in the hut laying eggs. Don't worry about that. I'm a boy duck. Then why are you still here? Did you not hear what the old woman said? Get out from here, pretender. Quack, 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 quack. Get out, get out.
The door was still a bit open, so our poor ugly duckling slipped out the door and back into the storm.
No one wants me.
The storm ended. Soon he found a new lake. Looking into the water, the ugly duckling saw the reflection of a flock of large white birds flying. He looked overhead and could not believe what he saw. Above him were the most beautiful birds he had ever seen. Their long white bodies and slender necks seemed to just glide through the sky. He watched until the very last bird has winged its way out of view. He stayed at the lake all by himself, and time passed. The leaves of the trees turned deep red and gold, and then the leaves fell to the ground. Winter came, setting a blanket of white snow all over. The cold wind and the dark clouds made the ugly duckling feel even more sad. He had to go into the cold lake to fish, but it was getting harder to swim. The lake was turning to ice. One day, it was all he could do was to paddle the winter to keep it from freezing around him and trapping him in the lake.
I am so tired, quack, quack,
he said. Paddling with all his might, the ice got thicker and drew closer to him. In a moment, two giant hands swept him up. "Oh, you poor thing," said a farmer. He held the ugly duckling close to his thick wool jacket and took the bird to his home. Never was a warm fireplace more welcome. For the rest of the winter, the farmer cared for the ugly duckling. Then spring came. Tips of the green covered the trees. Short bright flowers popped up from the ground. "It is time for you to go to the lake to swim again, as you were born to do," said the farmer. He took the duckling back to the lake where he found him and set him with care on the water.
gosh, I feel strong,
said the young bird, flapping his wings.
Why, I never felt as strong as I do right now.
He heard quiet splashing sounds behind him and turned around. A flock of those same beautiful birds he had seen in the sky before landed behind him on the water.
Do not worry. I will go now. I will not make trouble for you.
He turned to go away. When he opened his eyes, he saw a reflection in the water of one of those beautiful white birds. Why was it so close to him? He jumped back, and the reflection jumped back too.
What is this?
He said. He stretched his neck, and the reflection of the beautiful bird stretched its neck too.
Why are you going so soon?
Said one of the beautiful birds.
Stay here with us. We will be great friends.
Then the bird who used to be the ugly duckling knew what had happened. He was no longer an ugly grey bird that wobbled when it walked. At one moment, all the swans flapped their wings and took off into the sky.
Oh my God!
One called back.
Take the lead.
So he flapped his wings fast and took his place in front of the whole flock. All his new friends flapped their wings behind him. He said, gliding and dipping through the sky as he sped on.
Who's an ugly duckling now? Sorry, not I.
He was happy because he found his true identity and the place where he belonged. He lived happily ever after with his new swan family, understanding that true beauty comes from within. Moral of the story: no matter how we look on the outside, what truly matters is who we are inside. Once upon a time, in a peaceful forest, there was a little tree named Willow. Willow was the smallest tree in the forest, and she dreamed of becoming the tallest and the most magnificent tree one day. The story starts with the gathering of all the forest creatures, including birds, animals, and butterflies. They all admire the beauty of the tall trees, but they often overlook the little willow.
I wish I could be as big and strong as them. I want to see the world from above and feel the warmth of the sunlight on my leaves.
In her dream, she magically grows taller and taller, reaching the height of the tallest trees. She becomes a grand and magnificent tree.
I'm Willow, the tallest tree in the forest. I can touch the sky and sway with the wind. Oh, how wonderful it feels!
In her dream, Willow explores an enchanted forest with talking animals and glowing fireflies. The forest is full of magical surprises, and Willow feels like a true queen of the forest.
I am the queen of the forest. Look all the beauty all around me, and the creatures who admire my grandeur.
As the sun rises, Willow wakes up, finding herself still a little tree. But now she is filled with the happiness and newfound confidence.
I may be small, but my dreams are big. One day I will grow tall and become a grand tree, just like in my dreams.
The moral of the story: Willow learns that dreams are powerful and inspire us to reach for the stars. From that day onwards, she grows happily, knowing that she will one day become the tallest tree in the forest. In a colorful garden, there lived a curious little caterpillar named Cassie. Cassie loved exploring new things and making friends with all garden creatures. One sunny morning, Cassie woke up to the beautiful sights and sounds of the garden. The vibrant flowers and fluttering butterflies filled him with wonder. As Cassie crawled through the garden, he met a chatty ladybug named Lulu and a playful grasshopper named Hoppy. They become instant friends. While playing with Lulu and Hoppy, Cassie noticed a mysterious cocoon hanging from a branch. He wondered what was inside and how it got there. Cassie decided to find answers and went to the wise old owl, Ollie, who lived in the tallest tree. Ollie explained that inside the cocoon, a magical transformation was taking place. Cassie watched the cocoon closely. Days passed, and one day he saw a beautiful butterfly emerge from it, stretching its colorful wings. Inspired by the butterfly's transformation, Cassie dreamed of becoming a butterfly too. He asked Lulu and Hoppy for help and practiced spreading his little wings. Lulu and Hoppy cheered for Cassie and encouraged him not to give up. They believed he could achieve anything he put his mind to. Cassie worked hard, and with every practice, his wings grew stronger. He believed in himself and his dream of becoming a butterfly. One sunny day, while Cassie was practicing, he felt a strange sensation. He looked down and saw his little body slowly turning into a chrysalis. Cassie's friends watched in awe as he transformed inside the chrysalis. After some time, a magnificent butterfly emerged, just like the one he admired earlier. After some time, a magnificent butterfly emerged, just like the one he admired earlier. With his new wings, Cassie flew through the garden, feeling the warm breeze and the gentle touch of sunlight. He was filled with the joy and gratitude. Cassie's journey taught everyone in the garden that dreams could come true with the determination and supportive friends. They celebrate Cassie's amazing transformation. The curious caterpillar Cassie became a beautiful butterfly and showed the power of believing in oneself. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in a village near the forest. Whenever she went out, the little girl wore a red riding cloak. So everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood asked her mother if she could go to visit her grandmother, as it had been a while since they had seen each other.
That's a good idea,
her mother said. So they picked a nice basket for Little Riding Hood to take to her grandmother. When the basket was ready, the little girl put on her red cloak and kissed her mother goodbye.
Remember, go straight to Grandma's house. Don't dawdle along the way, and please don't talk to strangers. The woods are dangerous. Don't worry, Mommy. I'll be careful.
But when Little Red Riding Hood noticed some lovely flowers in the woods, she forgot her promise to her mother. She picked a few, watched the butterfly flit about for a while, listened to the frog croaking, and then picked a few more. Little Red Riding Hood was enjoying the warm summer day so much that she didn't notice a dark shadow approaching out of the forest behind her. Suddenly, the wolf appeared beside her. "What are you doing out there, little girl?" the wolf asked in a voice as friendly as he could muster.
I'm on my way to see my grandma who lived through the forest near the brook.
Little Red Riding Hood replied. Then she realized how late she was and quickly excused herself, rushing down the path to her grandma's house. The wolf in the meantime took a shortcut. The wolf, a little out of breath from running, arrived at grandma's and knocked lightly at the door.
Oh, thank goodness, dear. Come in, come in. I was worried sick that something had happened to you in the forest.
Said Grandma, thinking that the knock was her granddaughter. The wolf let himself in. Poor Granny did not have time to say another word before the wolf gobbled her up. The wolf let out a satisfied burp and then poked through Granny's wardrobe to find a nightgown that he liked. He added a frilly sleeping cap and for good measure dubbed some of the Granny's perfume behind his pointy ears. A few minutes later, Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. The wolf jumped into bed and pulled the covers over his nose.
Who is it?
He called in a cracky voice.
It's me, Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh, how lovely. Do come in, my dear.
When Little Red Riding Hood entered the little cottage, she could scarcely recognize the grandmother.
Grandmother, your voice sounds so odd. Is something the matter?
Oh, I just have touch of a cold.
Squeaked the wolf, adding a cough at the end to prove the point.
But grandmother, what big ears you have.
Said Little Red Riding Hood as she edged closer to the bed.
The better to hear you, my dear.
Wolf replied.
But grandmother, what big eyes you have.
Said Little Red Riding Hood.
The better to see you with, my dear.
But grandmother, what big teeth you have.
Said Little Red Riding Hood, her voice quivering slightly.
The better to eat you with, my dear.
Roared the wolf, and he leaped out of the bed and began to chase the little girl. Almost too late, Little Red Riding Hood realized that the person in the bed was not her grandmother, but a hungry wolf. She ran across the room and through the door, shouting, "Help! Wolf!" as loudly as she could. A woodsman who was chopping logs nearby heard her cry and ran towards the cottage as fast as he could. The woodcutter hit the wolf over the head. The wolf opened his mouth wide and shouted, and Granny jumped out. The wolf ran away, and Little Riding Hood never saw the wolf again.
Oh, Grandma, I was so scared. I will never speak to strangers or talk in the forest again.
Dear child, you have learned an important lesson. Thank goodness you shouted loud enough for this kind woodman to hear you.
Moral of the story: children, especially attractive, well-bred young ladies, should never talk to strangers, for if they should do so, they may well provide dinner for a wolf. I say wolf, but are various kids of wolves. There are also those who are charming, quiet, polite, unassuming, and sweet, who pursue young women at home and in the street. And unfortunately, it is these gentle wolves who are the most dangerous ones of all.
Once there was a dog searching for food. It got a bone from a meat shop. The dog took the bone and went towards its house. It reached the bridge of the river which was near his house. The dog saw his image in the water and mistook it that some other dog is there in the water with the bone in its mouth. The greedy dog made a plan to snatch away the bone from the other dog. It opened its mouth for snatching away the bone. Alas! The bone in its mouth fell down into the river. The poor dog lost its bone and went home crying. Moral of the story: don't be greedy. Greed will cause pain.
Once upon a time, in a village, there lived a poor farmer with his wife. They had nothing but a little farm where they grew vegetables that they could eat and sell to their neighbors. They also had few animals on their farm. Every morning he took a round of the farm. He would pick some vegetables and look at all the animals, give them food, and ensure that all his animals were safe and healthy. One morning, as he walked around gathering some eggs, he saw a golden egg laid by one of the goose. He picked up the golden egg and ran inside his house to show his wife the egg. The excited farmer said, "Look, one of our goose gave us a golden egg. It is pure gold. He will never have to work again." The farmer's wife took special care of the goose. Every morning they used to come in order to pick up the golden egg. Slowly and steadily the farmer and his wife were becoming richer and richer. They bought new things for the house, but as they become richer, they become greedier as well. One night, the farmer's wife told the farmer, "Why do we wait every morning for an egg? Let us kill the goose and get all the gold at once. She must have a lot of gold in her stomach." The farmer imagined himself having lots and lots of gold and decided to kill her in the morning. So, in the morning, the farmer and his wife killed the goose and cut her open. The goose had no golden eggs inside her stomach. They both were disappointed. Now the farmer and his wife had lost the goose and they would never get any golden eggs again. They felt miserable. Moral of the story: too much greed always leads to great loss. Greed brings grief. Once upon a time, a salt merchant had a donkey. The donkey was very lazy and always thought of ways to avoid work. Every day, he used to load his donkey with bags of salt and go to the market with his donkey to sell salt. One day, while he and his donkey were crossing the river, the donkey slipped and fell into the river. The merchant helped the donkey to get out of water. On reaching the bank, the donkey noticed that the load on his back reduced drastically as more than half of the salt got dissolved in the water. The donkey was delighted. He thought he finally discovered a way to lighten the load on his back. Next day, as usual, the merchant loaded the donkey with bags of salt and started walking to the market. As they were crossing the river, the donkey deliberately slipped in the water and his load was lightened like the previous day. He was overjoyed. He thought of using this trick every day to ease his work. The poor merchant could sell anything for 2 days. The third day also, the donkey repeated the same. But this time, the merchant understood that the donkey is playing tricks. The merchant decided to teach the donkey a lesson so that he could not spoil his business again. Next day, the clever merchant loaded the donkey with cotton and started off to the market. As they reached the river, the donkey played the same trick. But this time, cotton bundle soaked the water. When the donkey came out of the water, he noticed that unlike the previous time, the weight of the load has increased many folds. He could hardly walk. The merchant made the donkey walk with the heavy load to the market. The donkey never again thought of slipping and falling in the river, nor any other tactic to escape his task. Moral of the story: you can fool a person a few times, but not always. We shouldn't refrain from performing our duties. One day, the crow found a big piece of cheese and sat on the branch of the tree. Fox saw a crow sitting on the branch of the tree with a big piece of cheese in his mouth. The fox said to himself, "The cheese looks delicious and I'm very hungry. Let me take it from the crow." He went to the crow and said, "Good morning. You have a lovely piece of cheese with you. Can I please have a bite too?" But the crow refused. The fox begged to the crow, but the crow wouldn't listen. He just sat quietly and ate his piece of cheese. But the fox didn't give up. The fox returned to the tree and said to the crow, "Are you the same handsome crow that everyone in the forest has been talking about? You look beautiful. You also have a lovely black feathers and a sharp beak. You have a beautiful voice too. Everyone in the forest is praising your voice. Can you sing a sweet song for me?" The fox saw the crow swelling with pride. The crow was thrilled to hear that everyone in the forest was talking about him and praising him. He suddenly forgot all about the cheese and began to sing. As the crow began to sing, the piece of cheese fell down from the tree and the fox caught it. The foolish crow lost his cheese and sat crying on the tree alone. The fox ran away with the cheese. Moral of the story: be aware of flatterers. Once upon a time, there lived a very cunning and mischievous fox. He used to speak to other animals sweetly and gain their trust before playing tricks on them. One day the fox met a stork. He befriended the stork and acted like a very good friend. Soon he invited the stork to have a feast with him. The stork happily accepted the invitation. The day of the feast came, and the stork went to the fox's house. To her surprise and disappointment, the fox said that he could not make a big feast as promised and just offered some soup. When he brought the soup out of the kitchen, the stork saw that it was in shallow bowl. The poor stork could not have any soup with its long bill, but the fox easily licked the soup from the plate. As the stork just touched the soup with the tip of its bill, the fox asked her,
How is the soup? Don't you like it?
The hungry stork replied, Oh, it is good, but my stomach is upset and I can't take any more soup.
I am sorry for troubling you.
The stork replied, Oh dear, please don't say sorry. I have some health problem and cannot enjoy what you offer. She left the place after thanking the fox and invited him to her house for dinner. After exchanging pleasantries, the stork served soup for both of them in a narrow jar with a long neck. She was able to have the soup very easily with her long bill, but the fox obviously could not do. After finishing hers, the stork asked the fox if he was enjoying the soup. The fox remembered the feast he himself had given the stork and felt very ashamed. He stammered,
I would better leave now. I have a tummy ache.
Fox understood his mistake and felt sorry for his behavior and left. Moral of the story: we should not act selfish with others. As it said, what goes around comes around. Once there was a shepherd boy who had to look after a flock of sheep. One day he felt bored and decided to play a trick on the villagers. He shouted,
Help! Help! Wolf! Wolf!
The villagers heard his cries and rushed out of the village to help the shepherd boy. When they reached him, they asked, Where is the wolf? The shepherd boy laughed loudly.
I fooled you all. I was only playing a trick on you.
A few days later, the shepherd boy played the trick again.
Help! Help! Wolf! Wolf! Wolf!
The villagers rushed up the hill to help him, and again they found that the boy had tricked them. They were very angry with him for being naughty. You must not tell lies, shouted the villagers. They hurried back down to the village. Then sometime later, a wolf really went into the field. The wolf attacked one sheep and then another and another. The shepherd boy ran towards the village shouting, "Help! Help! Help! Somebody, please help!" The villagers heard his cries, but they laughed because they thought it was just another trick. The boy ran to the nearest village and said,
"A wolf is attacking the sheep. I lied before, but this time it is true. It's a wolf."
Finally, the villagers went to look, and it was true. They could see the wolf running away and many dead sheep lying on the grass. Moral of the story: the shepherd boy and the wolf story is a valuable lesson for all children to stay away from the lies. If you always continue to lie, then when you actually speak the truth, no one will believe you. People refuse to believe a liar even when he is telling the truth.
Once upon a time, there lived a monkey in a berry tree beside the river. One day, a crocodile came across the river. It saw the monkey on the tree and asked for some juicy berries. From that day onwards, the both became close friends. The crocodile would daily come back to the monkey for berries. They both would used to have lots of fun together. Sometimes the monkey would sit on the crocodile's back and go around the river. Once, the crocodile asked the monkey to get him some berries for his wife. The monkey plucked some berries and gave them to the crocodile. When his wife tasted the berries, she grew curious to taste the monkey's heart. She asked the crocodile to invite the monkey for lunch at their place so that she can eat the monkey's heart. The crocodile became very sad. The next day, the crocodile asked the monkey to sit on his back and started to his house. As they reached the middle of the river, the crocodile told the monkey about his wife's plan. The smart monkey said he left the heart in the tree. The foolish crocodile took him back to the tree. As they came back, the monkey jumped off the crocodile's back and reached the tree. The monkey told the crocodile that he made a mistake by trusting him. The monkey used its intelligence to save his life, and the crocodile, because of its stupidity, lost both a great friend and sweet berries. Moral of the story: staying calm and thinking can help you get out of any difficult situation. A wise enemy is better than a foolish friend. Don't underestimate yourself. There are bigger fools in the world.
One day, a donkey found a lion's skin. He put it on and looked at his reflection in the river. Wow! I look just like a lion. No one can say that it is me. I must take advantage of this, the donkey said to himself. The donkey wore the skin and marched into the village. Seeing a lion in the village, the villagers got scared and started running. They left their stores and kiosks open. The villagers have left their food and belongings out here in the open. The donkey ate as much as he wanted to grab his loot and went back into the jungle. For the next few days, he relaxed and enjoyed what he had brought from the village. When his supply ran out, wearing the lion skin, he walked into the village once again. The villagers once again run at the sight of the lion, and donkey gathers his loot. This went on for so many days. Every time he was successful, the donkey's confidence grew. The villagers thought of doing something about the lion, and so the villagers decided to follow the lion. The donkey went straight to the wheat field, talking about his loot and started singing loudly. The villagers who were behind him recognized his braying. They were shocked to see a lion braying. It was the donkey braying in the lion's skin. "Let's teach him a lesson," they said. The villagers caught hold of the donkey and beat him mercilessly. Moral of the story: a fool may deceive by his dress and appearance, but his words will soon show what he really is.
Once there lived a flock of doves. They flew from place to place in search of food. One day they found some rice scattered below the banyan tree. So the dove landed under the banyan tree and began to eat. Suddenly a net flew over them. They were all trapped. They saw a hunter approaching them. The doves desperately flapped their wings to get out of the net, but they couldn't. The king of doves had an idea. He asked the doves to carry the net with them and fly together. Each dove picked up a portion of the net and together they flew off, carrying the net with them. The hunter looks up in astonishment. The hunter tried to catch them, but they were too fast. The king of doves knew a mouse that lived at the top of a hill, who could help them escape the net. The dove explained everything to the mouse. The mouse was happy to help them. He nibbled off the net easily with his sharp teeth and freed all of them. The doves were very thankful for the mouse. They thanked him and flew away. Moral of the story: unity is strength. United, you always win. There were once two brothers who lived on the border of the forest. The elder brother was extremely mean to his younger brother. He would eat all his brother's food and wear his good clothes. One day, the elder brother went to the forest to gather some firewood to sell in the market. As he went around chopping the branches of trees, he came upon a magical tree. When he started to cut the tree pleaded with him not to cut it. The tree said it would give the elder brother some golden apples. The elder brother agreed but was disappointed with the number of apples the tree offered him. Greed overtook him and He threatened to cut the tree if it didn't give him more apples. As he picked up his axe to cut down the tree trunk, the tree poured hundreds of needles on the boy. The elder brother lay on the ground, crying in pain. As the sun began to lower the horizon, the younger brother grew worried and decided to go in search of his elder brother. He found him with hundreds of needles piercing his skin. He rushed to his brother and removed his needles patiently with love. The elder brother apologized for mistreating him and promised to be better. The tree saw the change in the elder brother's heart and gave them all the golden apples they would ever need. Moral of the story: it is important to be kind and gracious, as it will always be rewarded.